Hey guys, here I am as promised. I am posting a video so that I can share my story finally. The dates are going to be approximated because these last 2.5 months have really flown by quite a bit. And so I'm just going to kind of generalize the dates, but all in all, this whole thing has taken place over 2.5 months so far. So I will basically just tell you how I discovered that I had ovarian cancer and what has happened since then and what is to be expected. So I've decided that I'm going to do something a little different, and you may have seen me like saying that I used Wonder Brow and recommending ASMR channels and stuff like that. I do that because if you're anything like me, when you first get this diagnosis, the first thing you do is gonna start Googling things so that, you can think, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my hair. Do I get a wig? Do I wear hats? What if my eyebrows come out? And there's my kitties in the background, sorry. So I'm doing that because I don't want you to waste your money. And if I find a product that I really like, then I will share it with you. And hopefully I can help save you a couple dollars from wasting your money on products that don't work or don't look natural. And so that's why I've been kind of doing reviews of products, and I'm definitely not getting paid by anyone to advertise their products. But so on that note, I have Wonder Brow Dark Brown on today, which is better for me than the brunette because it's not quite as red. It is still pretty red, but it's not as red. So I think I'm going to stick with this color. I might just, for the heck of it, use Order Blonde and see if that's a little more ashy, but I'm pretty happy with this one, so I don't regret this purchase, and I'm sure I could find somebody who could use the brunette color. So that is Wonder Brow. I would definitely recommend it. I don't know how natural it's going to look once the hair thins or falls out, but for now, when I still have eyebrows, it does work pretty well, and it lasts like a day or two. I showered yesterday, which is why I have a hat on today, because I went to bed with damp hair, and if you have curly or wavy hair, I don't think I need to explain why I have a hat on. It's because there's a lot of craziness happening on the back of my head. So I also wanted to recommend Ipsy. If you are not a big makeup wearer like me, and you just maybe have makeup that's you haven't worn in a long time, or it's $10 a month, and for $10 a month you get like a whole bunch of little products for the cost of what you pay for like one full-size product. So yeah, I mean, aside from the Wonder Brow, and I use a powder foundation because I can't wear liquid, I do get a lot of cool stuff from Ipsy, like eyeshadows and products and eyeliner and all that jazz. So it's pretty cool. Those are just a couple things that I would recommend. Not only because, a lot of attention is going to be on your face once the hair is gone, and also because it's important to still feel girly and feel like yourself, especially after hysterectomy. I did and do still struggle with the idea of, what makes me a woman anymore, because, I mean, all of the organs that technically made me a woman are gone, and it's difficult to deal with. But I think it's important to, really explore your sense of style and fashion, and don't abandon it because you're gonna go through this chemotherapy. It's more important now than ever that you discover what makes you feel confident. So for me, it's putting on makeup, and this hat I've had for a while. It's my raspberry beret. I'm a huge Prince fan. If you want any advice on anything as far as products, or have any questions, feel free to ask and I will answer. So now I'm going to tell you the story of how I found out that I had ovarian cancer. I would say approximately January 10th. I woke up in the morning and I had a very intense pain. I'm a side sleeper and I sleep on my left side. And this pain was on my right side, and it was just like throbbing, and I tried shifting and it was really painful, and I sat up in bed, and my first thought immediately was that it was my appendix. And I'm you know, I have a strong work ethic, and I went to work that day anyway because I had an appointment existing already. And the doctor that night kind of just felt around my abdomen and told me it was too low to be appendicitis and I didn't have any of the other symptoms. So he said, you know, I'm going to send you home. If it gets worse, go to urgent care. So that was a Thursday. So again, the dates might not be accurate, but they're estimated. So that Friday I woke up, pain was still there, went to work again, and when I would stand up, I would have to like hold on to something and catch my breath because the pain was pretty intense. It felt like a really intense menstrual cramp. Or labor pain. I don't know, it's somewhere in between. I've had both, and this was not exactly like anything, but it was similar. So I went to work anyway, and I stayed work all day, and then after work, I went to urgent care. And the doctor there basically did the exact same thing that the doctor that I first went to did, you know, felt around, and the only difference is he did a urine test, which came back normal. And he ruled out bladder infection, he ruled out appendicitis, because again, I didn't have any of the classic symptoms, and I didn't have a fever, I wasn't throwing up, and so I left feeling super discouraged because I started doubting whether or not I was really in that much pain. Like, do I just have a stomach ache? Do I just have cramps? You know, like, maybe it's not that bad. And I was really frustrated because I kind of felt like, you know, I didn't fit this mold of a certain illness, so they just didn't really care what was wrong with me. The following morning, I woke up and I told my boyfriend, we have to go to the emergency room. I'm in pain still, and something's wrong with me, and I need to know what it is. So we went to the emergency room, and we were there for 9 hours. They did a CT scan, they did 2 ultrasounds. They did the CT scan initially and told me that there was a mass in my pelvis, and they were being very vague about the size and what it could possibly be, and they just didn't really want to answer any questions. And so they gave me a regular ultrasound on my belly, and then they did a transvaginal ultrasound, which was completely unpleasant. And it turns out that I had this gigantic mass in my abdomen, and they didn't know exactly where it was coming from, or what size it was, or even what it was. So they told me to follow up with my gynecologist, which I did, and she looked at the slides and said, you know, if I feel like this is cancer, I can't do the surgery. I have to refer you out to a gynecologic oncologist. And basically, based on all of the things that she looked at and my symptoms or lack thereof, and I did a C125 protein test, I think it's a protein, and that was normal. So she did not feel like this was cancerous. And she did the surgery. So I had a open incision because the mass turned out to be pretty large. I think I gave the size before. It was like 14.5 by 13.5 by 7.5 centimeters. So it was almost 2 pounds. So it was pretty big. And it turns out that it was originating in my left ovary, and it had extended all the way over to the right side. So they took my ovary and my tube on the left side, and they took the tumor out. And nothing showed cancer in my washings that they did of the abdominal cavity, and the original pathology came back as borderline. So we were all pretty relieved, and I figured, okay, this sucked, but, you know, let's move on with our lives. So a week after surgery, when I went to get my staples taken out, the doctor told me that they had sent it to the Mayo Clinic, and the Mayo Clinic came back saying the original pathology report was inaccurate, and that I actually had mucinous adenocarcinoma stage 1A. So we caught it really early, which is awesome, and it's still devastating to hear, you know, cancer. So even though it was caught early, you know, it was still pretty shocking because, you know, nobody wants to hear it, and because I had pretty much thought that I didn't have it. So we were a little shocked, and I had to find a gynecologic oncologist, and I went to the first one because I got two names, and he was rude and had no bedside manner and basically told me that they would do nothing to follow up with this because in most cases, removal of the tumor in the ovary and tube are all the treatment that's necessary. And I just didn't get a good feeling about that doctor, and he just left me a little bit more confused than I was before I went in. So I got an appointment for a second opinion with the doctor that I ended up going with, and her approach was completely different. She wanted to do a full hysterectomy, she wanted to do chemotherapy, and it took a lot of soul searching to decide to do the full hysterectomy because I'm only 36 and I have one child who's 15, but I was not 100% decided that I didn't want to have more children. And it was just hard because having the decision taken away from you is very different than deciding you don't want to have any more kids. And, you know, the menopause thing and the chemotherapy, I freaked out when she said that I needed chemo because I think that for me made it very real that this was actual cancer and it was happening to me, and I was going to lose my hair, which I mentioned before. It seems like such a ridiculous part of all of this to get upset about, but it's one of the first times I remember crying about this is because I don't know, it just made it real. It made it cancer in my mind. I knew it was cancer before, but you know, this made it like cancer. And so I haven't started chemo yet, obviously. I have to go in this Thursday, which is in 2 days, and talk to the nurse there about what to expect, and she's going to write me all the prescriptions for nausea and all of the medications that I might need. I think I can also get a wig, which here's the thing. Here's another part of this whole thing that I'm not sure on. I looked on the internet and I could not find any wigs that did not make me look like one of the Golden Girls. So I ordered a bunch of hats. So we'll see how that works out. I can't promise that I'm going to have a wig, but if I find a place where the wigs look even remotely real or remotely youthful, I will definitely post it. So that's a synopsis of where all this took place. My first surgery was January 25th. My second surgery was, I want to say February 25th, but I don't think that's accurate. It was the end of February. It might have been the 27th. I don't know. I'll have to look at the calendar. But all of this has taken place since around January 10th, and it is now March 22nd, March 21st. I go back to work next week, and I'm losing my mind not being at work. So I'm also obviously losing track of dates. So it's very fast, and it's a lot very fast. And my whole goal here was to let you know that you're not alone. Let you know that this is sucky, but it's survivable. And I know my cancer is early stage, but I keep hearing from people how good a prognosis it can be with today's advances in the cancer medication area. So I want to wish you all good luck, and again, if you have any questions, please ask. I will answer. Feel free to subscribe if you want to, you know, just take a 10-15 minute break and hear me babble about my life and these ridiculous things that I get suckered into ordering online. And if you have any recommendations too, that would be wonderful. Or if you want me to see me try out something, let me know. So reach out if you need to, and good luck to you, and I will see you again soon. Sorry about the kitties, they're insane.